Isn't it just so nice that the show hasn't even begun yet, and I'm already getting hassled, specifically by Kyle, so no surprise there. Good morning, everybody. I am super happy to have everybody here. This is an impromptu Friday stream, so we'll do a little bit of discussion and just kind of hanging out. And we are definitely, as Kyle said, what did he say at first? The Oxygen Addicts Anonymous meeting. I think that's pretty much what this is at this point. So many familiar faces: Stratos, Kyle, Martin, Jason. Who else do we have in here? Had some folks earlier on. Elijah, hopefully he's around somewhere. And just excited to have everybody. I really, really enjoy this stream format. And it's just so nice to be able to have discussions and kind of hang out. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this as well. I actually wanted to change real quick one thing. Oh no, I can't do it. Can I edit it while the stream is live? Dang it. I need to change the stream latency, but I can't do that. So it's a little bit behind. That kind of blows. But whatever. So really excited to have all you guys joining. I see people popping in here. So let's let everybody get just warmed up here. I think it does take a few minutes for the YouTube notifications to go out. So if you guys didn't see this beforehand, I would be interested to know how long it takes for YouTube to tell you that it's gone live, because I think it sends people emails if you have the like and the bell turned on. Speaking of which, I know a lot of people that watch these videos lately are not subscribed to the channel. So if you're not, please go ahead and hit that subscribe. And then also, please, if you're watching, go ahead and hit that like button. So let's go ahead and get that rocking if you guys can. So a bunch of familiar faces: John, Cease, Elijah says he's not here. And I don't know if that's the case. Maybe it's just an imposter at this point. I imagine probably it is. Admin bar seems to have gotten an Oxygen revamp. I do believe it has. Yeah, kind of interesting. Interesting. And also, yeah, Kyle's discussion yesterday with Paul from WP Tuts was fantastic. Really good discussions, and I enjoyed that quite a bit. So if you guys haven't seen that, definitely go check that out. And the topic of today's video, or today's stream, I guess, is Gutenberg versus advanced custom fields when it comes to client websites. Now, this video will be a little bit more talking focused, and I will pull up some stuff here on the screen in just a second for you to check it out. And then so basically I got a really great question that was around whether you would use advanced custom fields or Gutenberg in different situations. Now, I know people are probably already have their opinions of ACF and Gutenberg. It's not my intent to change that, but I don't think our opinion is the one that actually matters. It's really what's going to be the best end result for the client. And if it's not something that you're willing to, learn or switch, then that may not be the best tool for you. You just stick to one. Kyle says ACF wins. Done. What next? Yeah, of course. So let me go ahead and switch my screens here real quick. Let me see if I can do this without breaking the whole stream. So basically, what you're looking at is the forums on the Permaslug website. Now, these are open for anybody to read and check out, but these they're intended for only members to be able to post. So essentially the question was, when would you use ACF and when to use Gutenberg? So this question I thought was really, really good, and I wanted to kind of cover it a bit. And this person says, do you deliver a mix of Gutenberg blocks styled with Oxygen as well as ACF fields for editable content? Curious if you're making use of both of them when handing over a client or just ACF. So this person says, also, I missed the ACF lifetime deal, so the new rates suck. I would agree, that is very unfortunate, but sometimes that just happens. And then this person says, I have 2 small sites coming up and the first customer ever, both non-techie, so I'm looking at making it super simple for them. Moving forward, I see this as a huge selling point. So that's absolutely a great point. That is a huge focus in my sales process with clients, is being able to tell them, that they'll be able to edit whatever facet of their site that they need. If they're willing to jump into Oxygen, I don't restrict people from doing that, but basically none of my clients, bar one, gets into Oxygen, and that person gets in there because they're fairly technical, so they feel comfortable bouncing around in the builder. And Elijah says, I wish ACF looked prettier in the back end, though. It's terribly ugly. Is there a plugin for making that better? ACF Extended, I think, makes it look a fair bit better. I think there's a theme or like a little bit of a facelift that they give it. So I do agree with you that it's not particularly pretty. And then J1M asks, are you using the default WordPress forum? Yeah, I think this is BB Press, and then I just did some basic CSS styling to make it look reasonably good. So with this, let's see, Kyle says, I just tell them that they can email me and I'll make any changes they'd like. Just sign up for a care plan now, please. Yeah, so Kyle, that's actually a really good point as well. So if you guys aren't familiar with Kyle, first of all, he runs the admin bar and he has a tool called the Website Owner's Manual. And that is a really cool tool. I do have a link in the description below and a coupon code for you if you want to check that out. But basically the point of that particular tool is that you're able to use this as a selling point to your clients to sign them up on a monthly plan, which I actually intended to get to a little bit later. But ACF for me gives clients that would require my attention every single day or very, very frequently, more so than I care to, even on a care plan, the ability to get into their site to make changes. Now, as a specific example of this, the flexible content in advanced custom fields, I built out on a site for a local, what do you call it? It's a, basically they're a condo and they have a bunch of people who all need to see these protected documents, and this client needs to be able to get in there and upload these documents pretty much on a daily basis. I am not interested in having that kind of attachment to my clients. I don't want to be, bound to my email at all times. So instead, what I did was set up advanced custom fields flexible content for them. So now they can go in there and add all those documents without touching anything related to Oxygen. It's extremely simple and it just works super well. So that to me is fantastic because they're still on a $99 a month plan for support and help, security updates and all that kind of stuff. But then they can still get in there and make those changes, and they can do it super quickly and they don't need my help, which is awesome. So Elijah says, Kyle, do you publish what you charge for care plans? I've seen everything from 30 a month to 800. Yeah, that's a great question. I was curious about the care plan prices because my base fee is just 99 bucks a month for the hosting and support and stuff. And then anything past an hour of labor just gets billed additional, which almost nobody takes advantage of that. So it does work out to be really good. Now to Daniel's point here, to my answer to his question, I went on to talk about how there's a number of different ways that you can do it. And really it comes down to the design flexibility and what each particular client is going to need. So for something like Gutenberg, I find the interface is very daunting even for myself. It's a bit clunky, hard to get in and out of, but there are certain advantages if somebody wants a very visual interface. I think that's where Gutenberg is going to shine more than something like Advanced Custom Fields, is if you want that kind of like pretty aspect to it, then Gutenberg might be the better setup. Now, one thing I wanted to mention is that I am not sure the differences in accessibility. So I'm pretty sure that Gutenberg is accessible right out of the box. The question is, if you design your blocks in Oxygen, and those, of course, get transposed into Gutenberg, are those still accessible? And then likewise, is Advanced Custom Fields, are those field groups all accessible? I would imagine that they probably are, but I actually didn't check into that, which I probably should have done. So let's see. Yeah, I know this picture right here is super, super old. So obviously my hair was way shorter, different glasses. I never have my glasses on, but I do actually wear them when I'm not at my desk. So that is me from, gosh, that photo must have been 2014, 2015. So in my answer here, I mentioned design flexibility, Gutenberg blocks. Because you can design them in Oxygen, that's really awesome. Now, Gutenberg in Oxygen, if you're going to edit the whole page in Gutenberg, is not really super ideal. But there has been one case for me where I had to do that because a non-technical client was super needy and needed to change a bunch of stuff on their site. So instead of fiddling with that, I just edited it with Gutenberg and then let them ride. And that actually worked. They weren't making drastic changes, but they wanted to change stuff all the time. And then this brings up my next point, which is I ask people right off the bat in these sales conversations before we start on the site, what are the facets of the site that you need to be able to edit on a regular basis? Who in your team is going to be getting into the site and what do they need to change? And then from there, that helps me determine, is ACF going to be the right answer? Is it Gutenberg, or what else do I need to incorporate into the site to make sure that they have that client editability? 9 times out of 10, it's a few pages, or they have something like a custom post type that I was going to build as a custom post type anyway, like team members or locations or whatever. And so those are easy to incorporate. Those are obviously just going to have ACF fields. They're pretty much never going to touch Oxygen or Gutenberg. So the short answer to this question is 9 times out of 10, ACF is the answer. And then this other point that I have down here, I said some clients will feel pretty overwhelmed by more complicated ACF field groups, because especially in the case of like flexible content, as things start to get really nested and you have tons of fields and tons of different things going on, it can start to look kind of crazy. So in just a minute, we'll switch over to a different tab and we'll kind of set up a flexible content field group so you can see how it would work. But eventually you're going to start to have lots of nested rows and columns and all kinds of stuff. So it can be a bit difficult for a client to grasp exactly what they have at their fingertips. So that is something to consider. And then it really comes down to every individual use case. So it's, one of those like, take your car, you call the car mechanic and you're like, yo, it's making this noise. And they're just like, I don't know, bring it in. It's that kind of thing. You really can't estimate or even give a good sense until you have an idea of what the client actually needs, which is why I ask very early in the conversation what they're actually going to do. Kyle says, right, ACF wins. I said that a long time ago. Yes. So that is true. Now, Daniel goes on to bring up a couple of other things. So these aren't directly related to the question, but I thought that this was poignant for us to cover. Now, the main question here is, first of all, on the pricing, and then obviously the monthly and yearly retainer and maintenance. So this kind of goes along with what we're talking about, which is why I wanted to cover it. So giving people the ability to edit their own site, a million ways to do it, especially with Oxygen, there's 30 different ways to do it. First of all, Daniel says, I quoted them a one-off fee of $550 and $800. He said he's very new to this. My very first site was $300, and now I don't do anything less than $3,500. So if that gives you a sense, over the past 4 years, I've really kind of grown that, but also the offering has grown. The what you get for that price is significantly better. So I don't think it's really that vital that you get hung up on that initial price. But more importantly, were the questions down here that I wanted to actually cover. So should a newbie web developer be charging clients a yearly or monthly fee? Absolutely, absolutely. Especially if you're building a WordPress site and you're hosting it either yourself or through them, then I 100%, every single client needs a monthly package of some kind. Now, there are cases where a client is just not interested in having you help them in any capacity. So what I'll do for those people is set them up on like a Cloudways hosting environment and tell them if they need help, it's an hourly fee, $110 an hour. And those people typically don't call that often, but when they do, it's a number of hours of labor where they would have been off, better off on some kind of care plan. So that's probably a sales conversation I need to address. But I think that question, they absolutely do. So I already mentioned this a little bit ago, but my basic monthly fee is $99 a month. You gotta have a credit card on file and it's billed to that. I don't mess around with checks or any of that kind of stuff. He also says, is it a rough percentage of the overall job? No, I have that base fee. It includes 1 hour of labor, which is actually less than my typical hourly rate. But most people don't take advantage of that, so it kind of evens out. And then basic stuff like security and updates and that sort of thing I'm doing on a regular basis. So there's really not a whole lot of time spent on every single one. But Kyle made the point just in chat. Yeah. So, excuse me. Recurring revenue is how agencies survive. It's way too hard without it. So completely agree there. Across my client base, the recurring revenue that I have basically pays a good portion of my regular bills. So I wake up on the first of the month and I know that I'm set pretty much the rest of the month if the absolute worst were to happen and the sky were to fall. So I just can't recommend getting these people on a monthly package enough. It's probably going to seem weird at first if you're charging $75 or $99 a month. You just think $99 isn't that much, but once it gets to 10 or 25, it starts to add up very considerably, especially when everybody's on auto bill. You'll just often have times where some clients don't contact you for 2 or 3 months, but that charge still goes through, which is fantastic. Is it limited to a fixed number of updates or man hours? I don't put any. Oh, I didn't even turn on my little light here, y'all. Y'all didn't tell me. Y'all didn't tell me my face wasn't lit up. Oh, my Lord. Let's see here. Let me change my hue and my brightness real quick. My little accessory won't connect. Hold on, y'all. All right. Bam. Take this bad boy up. There we go. Man, that looks a million times better. Look at me. I'm a garbage streamer. There we go. Nice. Much better. That was just my window outside, and the sun is finally peeking back out. It's been raining for like 3 straight days here. Anyway, where was I? I can't remember. I was just gonna catch up on chat real quick here. I've been hooting and hollering too daggum long here. All right, so anyway, what do you guys think about the conversation so far? Good, bad, indifferent? So you guys don't know this, but I'm actually an accent expert, and if I'm not on stream, I sound kind of crazy. So this is my normal voice, but if you ever see me in person, I might not sound like this. I do live in the deep South, but I don't really have a Southern accent, I don't think. All right, so back to my point. We already talked about the fixed number of hours. If no recurring fee, do you charge hourly for changes? Yeah, so I don't actually support any client sites that aren't on some kind of auto bill program. So basically, if somebody comes to me and they just want support, the only thing that I'll do for them is I bill 1 hour upfront. So before I ever even log into the site, there's 1 hour. And then from there, if there's anything else past that hour, I wait and get approval and tell them that, this is going to take X amount of time, and then I bill that as well. So I use Zoho Invoice. So I send them a little link, and they can type in their credit card number on that. That puts it in my system. I don't actually see the card number, but it is on file for me, so I can charge against that, which is essential. So that's the whole reason I switched to Zoho Invoice, was so that I could do that specifically. And that's been really tremendous because that eliminates the tire kickers, which really doesn't happen all that often, if I'm honest. But what it does do is when somebody comes, they know that I'm serious. So a couple questions in chat. Is the North Florida accent or the South Alabama one? Honestly, I think it's a South Alabama more than it's Florida. Maybe even mid Alabama, North Alabama. I don't know. I'm not good at any accent other than Asian. Wow. I'm not good at any accent other than Southern, so I'm not doing anything else. Spheronix says, speaking of Cloudways, how many sites per 4 gigabyte node? That's kind of a different question, but that really depends on how well optimized your sites are, and then how much traffic they get. So those are the two things that are really going to matter. This person says, I'm a bit stumped on how I can work with the cost of ACF Pro into the site with their new subscription, and would love to know how to move forward with this, as since discovering AC a few days ago, I really can't see me building without it now. So I completely agree that the ACF Pro pricing, actually, I don't even know, what is the pricing now? I have the lifetime deal, so I wanted to see real quick. All right, so unlimited websites is $250 a year. So that is, I understand why people don't like that. It's decently steep, especially if you didn't have that fee before, but you need it. The way that I look at this is I pretty much will divide that cost out among my monthly clients. So for something like Gravity Forms, which is I think even more expensive, I think it's like $300 a year, something like that. Across my monthly clients, I take that and divide that, and that's a cost that I use. Now, because these packages are for unlimited sites, then you're essentially, just splitting that cost amongst all these people. So initially, it's going to be super painful to sign up for something like ACF Pro on this agency plan. So $250 a year for one client, that's brutal. That's a lot. But as you start to grow, even 10, then that cost shrinks tremendously. So that's typically how I manage that, is just splitting that cost, and that's more of like a mental thing. But the lifetime deal, I actually emailed them probably like a month ago, and I asked, could I get even like a coupon code or something for the Premise Log audience? And I mentioned if you guys could offer that lifetime deal again, that would be tremendous, but even a coupon code would be great. And they said no. They said no to both, unfortunately. So I did try. And then he says, mind blown by the flexible content lesson. So there is a lesson in my course on flexible content and how to set up like a basic ACF flexible content layout. I actually want to go back and update that video, because now that we have CSS grid, it's going to be like even easier. I think it's going to be pretty amazing how you could set up the layouts, because before you basically had to go set up every class and all the sizing of your divs and stuff. But I think it's going to be way easier now with 3.7. So I need to go update that video. So what I wanted to do real quick was take a look at the ACF flexible content and also what it's like to try to create Gutenberg blocks. So one thing is, obviously, if you're going to be doing the flexible content stuff, you do have to have ACF Pro. So make sure you have that. That's what we were just talking about. If you don't have the lifetime deal, it's definitely still expensive, obviously, but it is worth it, I think, because so much of what you can do in Oxygen with conditions and all that other stuff is just tremendously helpful. So let's see. What was I going to do first? I think what I'm going to do is create a Gutenberg block. So actually, I need to disable Classic Editor real quick. And if we go take a look at our posts, I have a bunch of failed schedule ones here on this install. But if we go look at the post editor real quick, then we have Gutenberg. Perfect. Okay. So this is what I wanted, although it doesn't look that great. I just think this interface is very daunting, especially when you load up your page and it looks like this. It's like, how are you supposed to even conceive of what to build here? So anyway, you have, of course, all the built-in blocks, but with Oxygen and the Gutenberg integration, then we can go ahead and design our own. So if we go to block library, we can add a new one, and then we need to name this. Let's just call this like 3-call layout. And then we'll go to block category and content. We'll publish this guy real quick, and then we'll go edit with Oxygen. So we're going to create a 3-column layout, both in flexible content and in Gutenberg, and we'll kind of see what we can come up with here. So if you guys have any suggestions or questions along the way, please do let me know. Now, this would be, I think, probably the most simple to do in a section, and then we go with a column. We'll go 3 by 3, and then inside of this div, let's add probably like an image on this side. Then we're going to add a heading here. I'm going to change it to like an H2 tag and maybe bump it down to 34. Then let's go with 16 pixels of margin. And then with our text here, we'll just leave that text because we actually don't really need to change this. So then what would we have in a 3-column layout? Maybe we would have like another text element, and then maybe we would have like, I don't know, maybe some text links. So let's just add a class here, quick links. We're going to go with 8 pixels, change the text color to black, and then our hover color will be green. And then we'll just duplicate this a couple times. So I want to see how this behaves in Gutenberg, because if I'm not mistaken, what ends up happening is you can't add more content to this. I'm pretty sure you're locked in to this exact block that you build. So let's save this real quick, and then we'll go back to our admin interface. We're going to go create a new post, and we'll just call this guy 3-column test. Now we should be able to go to add, and then 3-column layout is here. So that's the one that we just created. So if we stick that in now, then this is what we have. So we inherit that hover color from our class there. All of our size and spacing is good to go. We can go ahead and swap out our image here, which is sweet. But like if you wanted to add another element underneath this image, like another heading or something, you can't do that, I don't think, right? Like all I want to do is move this over. Yeah, so I think you're pretty much locked into that exact layout. So this, I guess, would be okay if you were going to take the time to go through and set up some layouts and have some pre-built content for people. Or the other situation that Gutenberg might make sense is I had a client last year who came to us with a completed mockup, a Figma mockup, and they had basically in their portfolio, they had 3 different types of clients that they worked with. In those 3 clients, they had essentially different layouts for each of those portfolios. They wanted it in Gutenberg because some were going to have more content than others, so it couldn't just be like a static template. And so essentially what we did was built those blocks for them, named them in such a way that they knew kind of which went with where, and then they were able to just add the content to that page as applicable. So that was a case where Gutenberg actually benefited us because they wanted to have roughly the structure there for them. They wanted a visual interface, and Gutenberg worked in that particular example. But is that the best case for every site? I don't think so. Now, so yeah, you can see these Gutenberg blocks are extremely simple. So I wanted to publish this real quick. Then what I wanted to do is actually edit this block. So if we were to, let's say, delete this image and save, then it doesn't adjust our existing block, does it? It does. Interesting. Okay, so that's kind of cool. I guess maybe a drawback, and that's kind of cool. Just thinking about if you were to change that kind of behind the scenes. Completely unrelated question. This is not at all related to what we're talking about at the moment. So my brother actually has like a really nice kind of ambient music project, and I'm talking to him about getting some nice music for the background of the stream. It'd be really quiet, not obtrusive at all, but I'm curious. Would you guys be interested in having some music in the background? It'd be very, very light, not anything crazy, and just curious. Are you listening to music right now or something else where that would be obtrusive if that was in the stream? Or is that something that would be welcome? So in the quieter moments, there is something in the background. I'd appreciate your feedback on that. And with that, I am going to take a little coffee break. Okay. Wanted to catch up on chat real quick here. John says, I see that as a positive, not a negative. You create carefully designed blocks and know they can't wreck them. That is exactly the point of that particular example. That's why we went with that particular client that had the 3 different types of layouts. That's why we went that way with them, and they wanted that. So Leonardo says, would you know if it's possible with ACF Pro and Oxygen, add a new page as a menu item each time a page is published? I mean, create a custom post type with ACF, and once the page is published, is added to the menu. Trying to think. You can do a WordPress menu. So I guess if you incorporated if you incorporated the WordPress menu into your CPT template, I think you could do that. But where ACF fits into that, I think it's 2 separate kind of efforts there. But anyway, so moving back over here to our block, that is interesting that it kind of changes. So those are almost templates. Kind of interesting. So anyway, let's go ahead and go back over to, let's get out of Oxygen real quick. And then if we go to custom fields, we're going to add a new field group. And this one we'll call our flexible content fields. We're not going to edit this field group in Oxygen, of course. The post type is post, that's fine. We're going to go to hi after title, and that is about it. So add field. So our field label here will be, well, let's see, I'm trying to think. Let's go ahead and add, we're just going to call this field label post fields. Our field type will be flexible content. And then this is where you actually start building the layout for this particular flexible content field. So this label we'll call 3-column layout. Nope, not layout R, just layout. And then no fields, click the add button. So we had an image. And then what we're going to do with this is I think we need to change the wrapper attributes to 33% width. Then we're going to go with a heading element. Then we're going to change this to 34. And then on the right-hand side, we had text. And this guy is going to be 33. So I think this is how we want it to be laid out. So then we'll go ahead and publish this and take a look at a new post and see how that behaves. Now, of course, I have Gutenberg installed, so I'm actually going to go turn back on the classic editor, because pretty much always if I'm using ACF fields, I use classic editor. It just looks so much more clean and easy to read. Appreciate all of the feedback on the music. Thanks. So now we have our post fields, which is the field group we just created, or excuse me, the flexible content field we just created. And inside of that, we have the 3-column layout. So you would add this in, and there is the layout that we just created. Now, the big caveat to this is that you would actually need to build this into your Oxygen template. So this would be manually coded with PHP. You'd need to add some divs and classes to style all this. So it's definitely not as clean as Gutenberg in that sense. So in terms of that being a viable solution for you, this to me, I think looks easier to use, although I didn't actually put an image field. That was a mistake on my part. I just used the text field. Let me actually add that in as like a proper image field. So I want to refresh that so we can take a look. And the width here was 33%. And refresh. Yeah. So add this row, 3 column. There's our image field. So then we would stick this in. Then our heading from before, I think it just said like double click to enter text. So we'll just enter something here like oxygen addicts support room. And then our text would be, you can always run, but you can't hide. There we go. Okay. So Kyle always with the mega troll. I appreciate it. Link your brother's music. See if he's a Bandcamp. Yeah, he does. So let me check that out real quick. Here is, I think you guys might like it just anyway, but this is his, oh, I can't put it in there because it's incognito. Crap. So this is his Bandcamp. So it's all ambient music, really soft, really nice. It's called Cliff Diver. So it's cliffdiverambient.bandcamp.com. I'll just toss that in chat real quick. I wanted to share that with you guys. So you might like it just on your own time, but appreciate all the feedback on the music. So Football Junkie says, I'm new to ACF and would like to learn how to use it effectively. Are there any recommendations on YouTube channels to learn the basics and what to do with ACF? There's tons in my course. There's also tons on my YouTube channel as well. Lots of ACF stuff. The other thing I can't recommend highly enough, which we're in incognito, so I don't think, can you get to your extensions in incognito? It opens back over here. I guess you can't. So I was going to mention the Acf Tools extension. So let's go look that up. Acf Tools is this guy. So if you don't have this, then Acf Tools is amazing. So it allows you to basically copy ACF PHP code out of, like a field group right here and to quickly copy these field names. So that's super awesome. It's not always perfect. Like flexible content fields don't work right out of the box, but it's certainly a help. Let's see. Okay. So what was I going to do? So we have our 3-column layout here. So now the other drawback of this is, Strata says you have to enable them for incognito. Okay, that's helpful. Not too worried about that right now. The other drawback about this is, of course, you can't add more to this. So that is actually, I think, kind of a blessing and a curse. And so that would mean that your client is very kind of locked in and focused into what they can do. So that's probably a good thing. I don't know what you guys think about that. Kyle says you have a course. Tell us more. Yeah, funny you should say that. There is a Ultimate Oxygen course on my website, permaslug.com. Go check it out. So then the other thing is, if you want more to this field group, I wanted to demonstrate like another layout here. So you would go to Layout and Add New, and then let's call this like call layout. And then we're going to add an image on the left, change this to an image field properly this time. And then what we're going to do is just go with a heading right here. And then if we publish this guy, I'm 98% sure that these are now combined. So let me reload this. And then if we go to, oh, they're actually 2 separate things. That's awesome. Because what I wanted to do real quick is just check how easy it is to reorder this stuff. So extremely easy. So if you have this 2-column layout and this 3-column layout and you decide you want to switch it, then you can certainly do that. Very, very neat. So to me, the flexible content is better in some ways, but not better in others. Because if you're not competent with PHP and CSS to get it to work, then it's probably not the best fit, because you do have to basically go to ACF flexible content. You got to go to their documentation. So then the flexible content, you'd have to come down here to the loop, to this layout. You'd have to edit this guy, this guy. You'd have to change your row layout name. You'd have to put the appropriate PHP code in for each field, and then you'd have to style it with classes and divs and all that in your template. So if that is something that you're feeling adventurous on, or that is something that you feel like would be beneficial to you, then you should definitely take advantage of it, because I think it definitely has some serious merit. Where was I over here? I wanted to pull up something else. We good. So that is basically all that I wanted to cover today. So this is definitely a shorter stream than some of the other ones, but I just wanted to talk about the differences between flexible content and ACF. Now ACF is not the only thing. Actually, let's before we change anything, or close down here, instead of using flexible content, you can also just give people a few fields. So another use case is if we were to add a different field group to like page fields. Something that I would do actually on a fairly regular basis is if there's like a subheading or maybe like some dates or times or something that needs to change, then you could just add a really simple field. You could just be like, page subheading, simple text field like this. And then you stick it at the top of their page. You publish this. And then when the client goes to their page, then voila, they have that page subheading. And then it essentially, just pops right into their template in Oxygen. So that is another option. If you want it to be extremely simple, that requires no coding at all, because of course that direct Oxygen ACF relationship is built right in. So that is definitely another thing there. Elijah, great point. He touches on edit mode. He said touch on edit mode. Really awesome. So I actually don't know. I think my license is not actually on this site. So hold on one second. I'm going to take this over here. License, because I believe I got to get I did this last time too. Let's go to, where is it? Oxygen license. Let's see. Oxygen. I think I saved that as Oxygen lick. And I know Stratos is probably screaming at me right now. All right, so paste that guy in. And then okay. So now that I have my license key in there, if we go to client control, then the other super cool thing is the client editability with the edit only access. So this is super cool. The editor mode, these of course correspond to the user roles in WordPress. So if you have a user with a given role, Kyle, thank you, as always. That was another great point, though, Elijah. I appreciate you bringing up edit mode, because it's a great way for you to give specific controls to users on your site. So what's so cool about this is it used to be like an on or off thing. They could either get into Oxygen or they couldn't. But now what happens is with edit mode, then you can give them edits to specific elements. So every single element on your site here is there. So if you only want to be able to give them, let's say like columns, headings, text, and where's image? There's image. Then that's all the editor people get. Super awesome. Then with, let's say, like a subscriber, I don't know when you would ever let a subscriber into your Oxygen website, but let's say you only wanted to give them text. Now they have those specific elements enabled. Obviously, as you can see, the other option here is you can give them specific tabs as well. So the advanced tab, drag and drop, reusable parts, design, all that other stuff, super awesome. So that gives you complete control over all of the elements of the site. You can even do this on a user basis. So if you wanted to do a specific user instead of a specific role, you can do that. So that is super awesome. People are talking about text expander. Yeah, I try to keep my stuff really vanilla for a number of reasons, specifically like for tutorials. But I guess the license wouldn't actually matter. That would make it easier if I had something else. And then Elijah says, I use my Stream Deck for licenses. That's a good idea. You told me that before, and I kind of forgot. So I need to switch over to that and pop those in there. Probably like a security concern, like you said before. But for lifetime licenses, it doesn't really actually matter. Elijah says, I think edit mode plus design library is a valid alternative for Gutenberg. That's another one I hadn't actually even considered. So if you were to give somebody, let's say, enable elements, I guess you wouldn't actually do enable elements. You would go to enable design library. So I'm trying to walk through this process in my mind here. So you would enable design library for an editor. I'm going to clear out this and save changes. And then I am going to go, let's see, would we make this install a design library? Trying to think here. We have this third-party design sets. Do we just save our template as a library? Include this template in the default setup. Okay. Yeah, so you would basically create your own either reusable parts or divs or whatever, and then enable them in the design library. There we go. Yeah, so Elijah just basically said it. You could make a number of pre-made blocks in the design library, then enable them in the design library. You need to make sure sections are enabled so they can delete stuff they insert though. Oh, so that is a good point. So settings, client control, and then, so they do actually need sections then, so that's interesting. Kyle says, looks like we need more content on edit mode, Elijah. Yes, we totally do. That is something I hadn't even considered. See, that's what I talk about all the time. There's like a million different ways that you can go about the same types of things in Oxygen. Okay. So let's do this. Let's go on a page and let's create some content like on our home page. I'm going to clean up some of my tabs here. Just make sure we got everything we need. So we're going to go create a block real quick, and then we'll switch over to that other user account. So this stuff I don't really need. So we have our section. Let's go with a column, 3x3. And then we're just going to do that same layout that we've been doing, that image on the left with other stuff in the middle and on the right. So heading, text, and then we're going to go with text links. And our class from earlier was PS quick links, so it should just go ahead and adjust that for us, sure enough. So we'll duplicate that a couple of times. And then let's save this real quick. And then this section, we would go to, wait, it's not copy to block. Did I not turn on? Include the sections in this page. Oh, and okay, there we go. So section, let's rename this because this will just be called 3 wide column like that. And actually I want to capitalize that C because that would bother me on a real site. So I would actually fix that. So save this. We'll get out of Oxygen so it doesn't scream at me. And then let's go to include the sections in this page in the library. So now if we update that bad boy, then we should be good. So then what I want to do is I want to demote one of these people to editor, I believe. Oh, categorize, thank you. Do I need to go to, wait, where's my library tab? Why don't I have the library tab? Make this WordPress install a design set. What am I forgetting? Also disable all the built-in design sets. Oh yeah, good idea. So disable, update. Oh, so I guess it is a block then. But that's confusing. All right, so anyway, I wanted to go over here to this admin. I wanted to demote them to editor. And then I actually don't know what the password is. Categorize is in the structure pane. On that particular block? This is actually really interesting because helping me work through some nuance that I hadn't considered with this particular thing. So do I go It's not copy to block, is... Oh, categorize there. Oh, how have I never noticed that? Interesting. Wow, okay, so there was categorize right there, and I just chose content. Okay. Yep, I am plus wanting the ultimate client setup video as well, please. So now, with our editor user, if we set a new password here, and actually I'm in an incognito window already, so I don't think I can make a second incognito one, can I? So, if I go with this, then I got to go to this. Come on now. Is it just going to take me right in? Yeah. Okay, hold on. Hold on, y'all. I'm going to figure this out. So let me go. I'm just going to use an entirely different browser, which I think means I'm going to have to switch my screen and OBS here in just a minute. So it was admin, and then that password, don't save. All right, so now, Kyle says end of the day. I don't think it's going to happen. Okay, now I need to go to window capture. Okay, so I've switched over here to Firefox, and what I wanted to do is just kind of see how this is going to work. So I don't even have the Oxygen. Oh, there it is up there. This is open in another tab. Oui. All right, so let me get out of here. We don't need to go there, so I'm just going to go back to WP admin on the Chrome side. Okay, so we're back in Firefox. So now we have an edit with Oxygen. That's super interesting that it's up there. I've never seen that. Okay, so edit. So he says for a block, just go to the WP edit screen and categorize the whole block in the meta box. Okay, that's what I thought. So now if we go to add, then we have a section as the single element. I wonder if people, my window's not fit here. I'm an idiot. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so I wonder if people who didn't know I wonder if they would know to come down here, because I immediately looked at this and thought, that is the only element I have. So anyway, library, design sets. This site is called Sandbox, which is why that's there. We have nothing in the pages, but we have our two content blocks. Interesting. Okay, so that's actually super, super cool. So then how much of this can they edit? Basically everything. Now, this, so question for you, Elijah. That essentially means that they could delete any section on the page, right? Because we gave them the ability to edit sections as an element. Then that means that, just like I did a moment ago, we could delete other sections that weren't ones that were added by us, as like the editor in this particular case. So that may not be super ideal. John says, are we still comparing Gutenberg with ACF? Not really, no, because it kind of evolved into more client control on your website. So this is just an exploratory way that is already in Oxygen for you to do this without even needing ACF. So I think there's still some nuance to work out with this, but overall, what's really cool is you still, oh wait, you don't even have the advanced tab. So you can still do font family, text color, font size, weight, and tag. Now, this stuff is interesting because if it was up to a client, they would just be like, we are now open for business. They would do that. Every single one of you know that I'm right. I actually need to delete some of these exclamation marks so I can get back to my page content. We are open for business. And then this image would be like, it would look like this. Hold on. They're going to be like, come to our store. And then they're going to be like, Oh, they can't edit the size, so never mind. I was going to say that this was going to be the like a super distorted image. So Elijah says someone has never used edit mode. That's true. Kyle says I still say care plans win. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any arguing that you're going to be able to do it better. Gee, it'd be great if we could lock selectors to prevent them from editing specific. Oh man, you guys are lighting me up. I don't think that, for me, I don't think that this is the answer, to be perfectly honest. Because, like, this is the sort of thing that I don't want my clients getting in there and doing, is having control inside of Oxygen. For me, I'm pretty much trying to figure out what is the balance that I can give people that then keeps them out of crap. Where am I? Trying to think. That keeps them out of Oxygen as much as possible. So that goes back to Kyle's care plan point. I think that there's a million different ways to do this, and that's what I love about Oxygen. So we've kind of covered Gutenberg, sort of my last resort. Maybe second to edit mode, Elijah. Sorry. And then there is flexible content for really specific use cases, and then there's just basic ACF fields. But I think the hierarchy would kind of be like basic ACF fields in terms of support for me. So it would be like basic ACF fields, flexible content, care plan, and then edit mode, and then Gutenberg probably last. So I don't know how you guys feel about that. For me, I've tried to build my business in such a way that I'm not strapped to my email, like I said, every single day. And so I don't want situations where I'm responsible for making changes on the fly. I know obviously you could just, put into your contract response times and that kind of stuff, but that to me is probably not the best option for me. I was trying to think. And Elijah, I think it might be down to the fact that I don't exactly know all the ins and outs of edit mode. There may be better ways to do this, but I also don't think the types of clients that I'm working with and want are the types that actually want to get into Oxygen. I've honestly never had anybody. There's one girl who works for a marketing agency that wanted in Oxygen, and then there's that other client that I mentioned that he right away was just like, teach me how to do this so I can get in there and make these changes myself. So what do you guys think? What is your hierarchy of how you would do this sort of thing? What is your perfect use case for client editability? Is it just simple ACF fields? Is it Elijah punching me in the face because I'm talking bad about Oxygen? Again, I think it probably comes down to my own ignorance of edit mode. So I'm curious what you guys have to say. I wanted to look over here at my little window real quick. Edit user. Wait. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I done broke my whole site. There we go. I'm back to what it was. Okay. I think that's it for sure. No more edit mode training. Oh, man. Tell me what you guys think. John says, I try to create all the blocks and layouts they would need and then let them make their own changes. Yeah, that's not a bad idea, especially if you have a design set that you can kind of start people off on and all that stuff is already there. So Kyle says care plan and then figure it out. 1 and 2. I'm ready for Elijah to lay me out. I'm sure he can, honestly. He looks like, if you know the metal band Meshuggah, they have some brutal looking people that are bald with gnarly beards, and that's what Elijah reminds me of. He looks like a straight up rocker, a Swedish metal band rocker. So Shadow says ACF. Kyle says care plan. Yeah, if you don't want to mess around and break your site, just pay me. I mean, I think there's a million ways to do this. John says, what would be awesome is the option for the client to select a template for a page when Oxygen is disabled. It's currently in the Oxygen panel. I don't know what you mean by that. But anyway, that is another way for you to do it. So you have the design library, Gutenberg, ACF, care plans. That's kind of the point of this stream, that I wanted to figure out what would be the options there and get your opinions on that. So definitely hope you found this interesting. I know I certainly did. It's opened my eyes to a few different options like this edit mode stuff. There's definitely more to be learned with that. I hope, Elijah, you're going to put out that ultimate edit mode video, because I think there's going to be a lot of people like myself that are super. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn for sure. And yeah. So anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful Friday. I am going to be doing a little bit more work today and then taking it easy for the weekend. So I am currently trying to come up with some other content ideas. I have a few more things cooking around in my head as far as live streams and videos and stuff. There's been a few things that I haven't done lately just because I didn't think that they were that good of content ideas. Trying not to put out garbage, although you could argue that this stuff is garbage. So hopefully you actually like it. But with all of that said, I really appreciate every single one of you watching. Let's see, we've done very well again today. And if you can, before we head out, will you guys go ahead and hit that like button on the stream? It does help tremendously. If you're not already subscribed, please do subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next stream. Goodbye, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Until next time.